Whatever you like.
I like happiness.
I said when, not what.
I don't know, man. Sounded a lot like what to me.
I changed my name, but I got downhearted every
Okay,
time
if you
that
promise to stop singing that song, I will. I
Hakuna
will.
Matata. What a wonderful day. Hakuna Matata.
Stop,
There ain't
please.
no passing
Don't deserve this.
craze. It means so. Okay, let's go already then.
Are we
Otherwise, I'm
started?
going to keep listening to it and keep. Yes? You get to
Are
listen to
we
this when you're
recording?
cutting through and editing later.
Yeah, editing. This is the beginning of the podcast. This is the cold open. There's no introduction. We don't need introductions. Introductions are for the Disappointed Dragon and Valhalla channel, not for the Smooth Brain channel or podcasts. They don't get introductions. If that
But
didn't introduce the episode and say who was here talking, you haven't been paying attention. Uh,
down below, YouTube says this isn't Smooth Brain's channel.
I said, or the podcast. I was very specific. Was I not clear, Kevin?
No, I was also confused.
Very.
Well, too late now. Editing's not a thing. There's no such thing as editing. You can't fix mistakes you've already made. You got to move on with life and keep going.
Well, that red bar is moving.
The red bar is in fact moving. Yes, thank you. I hate it when you do this to me. When you interrupt my word vomit, it backs up and then like gets stuck in the wheels of my brain juice. And I don't know what I'm going to say next anymore. So I have to just keep saying words. Why does your
brain juice have wheels?
That those words can push out the words that were ahead of them that have gotten stuck.
The words that have gotten stuck is that we're going to be talking about our favorite D&D characters.
Yeah, I was getting to that. I would have got there.
In about 6 months.
He had to fight through the vernacular diarrhea that he was dealing with right there.
I would never ever say more words than are necessary. I am always concise and straight to the point. Very efficient.
All right, Mr. Concise, what's your favorite D&D character in 2 words or less?
Talking about D&D
2 words or less.
Wait, how many words?
2.
Sir Nutley.
That's not a character.
That is a character.
That was an item the DM should never have made.
So for those of you guys, obviously none of you know this. I learned D&D, effectively played it for the first time with Kevin at his friend's house. And I joined into the first campaign late, and he gave me a magical item. And that magical item was a griffin. A griffin who is very ineffective and who somehow gained the nickname Noodle Chicken, because he couldn't hit a single attack, and at some point his beak became a linguine noodle. I don't remember why. But regardless, I joined that campaign at the end, and then we started a new campaign. And that campaign, Kevin, being a gracious DM, decided that he wanted to give everyone a magic item. I didn't really know what I wanted. I liked having a magical pet, so I said, just give me another magical pet. So Kevin gave me a magical squirrel statue, a golden squirrel statue, that turned into a small squirrel knight who kind of looked like, if you've ever seen like the Musketeers with like those poofy sleeves, the big feather in his hat, and the long rapier sword. Imagine Reepicheep from Narnia. Anyone who's watched The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, which I'm assuming a lot of people has because there was a Disney movie of it. He ended up being more OP than all of the player characters. He would hit more often and killed more bosses than we did.
Okay, I've got to back up. A Reepicheep? What the fuck is that?
Okay, did you never watch any of the Narnia movies or read the books?
Lord, no.
All right, well, this is a bit of a tangent. I swear I won't take too long. Watch a C.S. Lewis is a classic. In Narnia,
classic loser.
Don't even. Those books are amazing, and me and Caleb will both fight you on that one.
Yeah, I'll take you on. I don't want to take him on.
Yeah, you don't. In the third book, I believe it's the third book, Prince Caspian, they're liberating the kingdom for the Prince Caspian, and one of the characters is a knight who is a mouse, And in the movie versions, he wears a large hat with a big feather and has a sword and boots, and he fights people.
Oh,
Kind of like Puss in Boots
he's the
in
mouse
Shrek.
version of Puss in Boots. Okay.
Yeah, except
Good
that
to
he
know.
came out like 50, 60 years ago.
Here's the thing.
But,
Here's
yeah.
the thing. I care about popularity, not time.
Okay, well, and Narnia is far more popular than Puss in Boots, but that's
No, nothing is more
D&D.
popular than Shrek, because Shrek is love, Shrek is life.
No, it's not.
Right, Kevin?
Stop. D&D.
Read.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Dingoes and Dingbats?
I don't want to say the one I just thought of. Kevin, what's your favorite D&D character?
Dragon dildos?
No, what the frick is wrong with you?
I'm
That's
just
an
seeing what I
interesting
can get away
character,
with
Will.
before you. Look, I'm just trying to see what I can get away with before he actually has to do some editing for this.
I'm not gonna do any editing. The dragon dildos are staying in.
All right, good.
Kevin.
Let's see them big dragon dildos.
I'm not adding pictures.
I don't like. I think my favorite character would probably have to be, at least the one that I played, would probably have to be Legion. And it wasn't necessarily from like what Legion would do or like what his motivations were. It was more on the fact that every time he went on an adventure, everyone in the party but Legion would die. And Legion wasn't going out of his way to kill people. He wasn't sabotaging people. It's just how it went. We went into a cave, dealt with the shit that the townsfolk didn't want. Like, things were coming out of the cave. We were to go into the cave to find out what's wrong with what's going on in there and why creepy shit keeps coming out. Well, for whatever reason, there was a intellect devourer in the cave. So yeah, it like murdered 3 people, and so Legion was the last one to survive. And this happened multiple times. I'm talking like 6 to 8, like mini adventures in a row where we would go off and do something, and everyone would die. So Legion got all the experience. He got all the loot. He got pretty much what 4 to 5 people were supposed to get, but all to himself. So Legion got stupid strong really quick. What was funny was because he was a illusion wizard that was also a changeling, so then he was just like constantly just like warping and distorting reality. I think the funniest thing I ever did was we were running away from a group of like, I think there was like 100 kobolds were running after us. So I used Major Image, created a bridge, and then when they hit 14 or whatever, you can make a illusion reel for 1 minute. We run across the bridge. The kobolds see us run across the bridge. They think it's safe. They go to run across the bridge. The bridge is now no longer real. It's now an illusion. So they all kind of run off like lemmings off of a cliff. So that was fairly entertaining to do stuff like that. Mostly because illusion magic, you get to be really, really creative with it, which I enjoy when you get to be creative with your class as opposed to like, I am fighter, I punch something in the schnoz. So Legion was probably my favorite character I've ever played.
Pretty cool.
Nice.
How about you, Will? You got one?
I do have a favorite character that I ever played, though we never beat the campaign with him. It kind of just fizzled out. And that was when I was a Dragonborn who had to eat everything the first time he came across it.
Oh, I forgot about that.
So his whole thing was he just had to know the texture and the taste of things. So I still remember the very start of the campaign. We're taking out from a bar, going towards Barovia, and Kevin describes, there's some puddles on the side of the road. I'm like, hold up. I go and drink the puddle water. That was the start to that campaign, and I still remember at the very end doing everything I could to try and devour some orphans.
I remember that too.
It was a fun campaign. I spat demons at one point. Laughs were had.
So,
I miss that character so much.
I do remember when I was the DM for my brother's group of friends, and we had some funny. There was some good sessions. None of us were very good at D&D. They were bad players. I was a bad DM, but we had some funny situations. Like they would crit at the most inopportune times, and it would always be really silly. One of the characters I made up was they were fighting in a mine, and they were fighting these fire newts, and they were being full-on murder hobos because they're all new players, right? So that's what new players do in D&D. So they just murdered the shit out of a room full of fire newts, And there, I was like, "So what's your next plan?" They're like, "Okay, we need to sneak in, but the next room is full of newts. What do we do?" And I can't remember if it was my brother or not, but someone was like, "We're gonna skin one of the fire newts to get fire leather." And I'm like, "What?" Yeah, because they've got fire resistance. So if we skin them and we make them into a coat, we'll have fire resistance. I'm like, okay. So they roll a crit when they're skinning him, and he's like, "I'm gonna try to skin him." So he has confirmed that it was him. That he's gonna skin him. He's gonna try to skin it so that he can make it into a fire newt costume, so that they can pretend to be a fire newt. So he crits. So I'm like, okay, because we're playing when you crit, you automatically succeed. We're not playing the like if you crit, you still just got a 20. So I'm like, all right, you have a perfect suit that looks like a fire newt. What do you do next? One of the characters like, I put it on. Okay. All right, I'm gonna run in there and try to convince them that I'm their friend, the fire newt. And then he rolls a crit. So he goes in and convinces them because I'm annoyed now because those two crits shouldn't have happened. I decide to try to make them feel guilty. So I fully developed the fire newt they killed. I can't remember what I called him, but I think I called him John the Fire Newt. And I was like, they like looked in his pocket and he had a picture of his wife in there. And I was like, she's the most attractive fire newt you've ever seen. And then you find out that one of the other fire newts was cucking him at work, and he gave a bunch of money to an orphanage, and he was the nicest fire newt that ever existed, and they ruined the world when they killed him. And then at some point later in the campaign, they found his wife and they lied to her and said that they were friends of John and just hid the skin in their bag and brought her with them on the rest of the campaign.
Oh my.
And then they went to the orphanage.
And what did they do to the orphans?
Nothing.
Did they eat them?
They did nothing to the orphanages. They took massive guilt damage. I finally got them with the orphanage. And I also named one of the spiders Timmy Tim Tim Tong for some reason. I can't remember why because I couldn't think of a better name.
Well, then you just remembered why.
Yeah, and I talked about how the family of the spider would never see him again because they murdered him and he had thousands of children and they were all going to starve to death. And they didn't care because they don't like spiders.
I'm with them on that for sure. Fuck spiders.
That was a long, drawn-out story, but I enjoy D&D sometimes.
Not literally, though.
What?
Never mind.
Oh, fornicating with spiders. Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, I don't need no spider-human hybrids.
I've seen some things.
We all have. We exist on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Kevin? You've seen some creepy and kinky things.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, it's not wrong.
Yeah.
Goodness. Favorite D&D characters, like, you know what, another thing that made me think of was characters who play D&D, not necessarily the character, but the character of some of the players. It's really funny when you get some of like people who play and they all do like different things. I was thinking about how Will was hanging out with us on New Year's and we played Honey Heist, which is a really short, like one-sitting RPG where you play as bears trying to rob a convention for honey. And my sister was playing, and her go-to as a bear was, I'm a maul that guy. I'm a maul that guy. That guy? Maul that guy.
It wasn't just I'm a maul them. I'm a maul them, then eat them to hide the evidence.
Yeah, because my brother was trying to like break in. He's like, okay, we're gonna knock him out. We're gonna steal his chef's outfit. And then he like rolled really badly. So I'm like, oh, you've knocked him down. You've injured him quite badly. He's bleeding out. What do? I'm gonna try to help him. My sister, I'm gonna eat the evidence. What? I ate him. Roll the dice? Yeah, I ate him. He's dead.
Oh.
I think my favorite thing was in that system, you can't actually die. You lose when you either become too bear or too criminal. And she went too bear, and the description of when your character goes full bear is that you're a bear. You start mauling everyone. So nothing really changed. She just stopped helping them get the honey.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. But then there's people like that who are just murder hobos. There's people who spend a lot of time, no one in this call would do that, to make their character optimized in something ridiculous that breaks the rules of the game.
No.
Know anyone who does that?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. I don't
Okay.
know what you're talking about.
Well, I don't think anyone on this call would do it. I did consider playing a coffee mage specifically because of how broken it is.
It
Do you
does
know what a
make
coffee
me...
wizard is?
No idea.
A coffee wizard is a specific set of wizard plus sorcerer plus, I think it's monk, but you mix 3 classes, and the way it works is you can convert points from one class into the other class into the wizard into spell slots. And then those spell slots are kept until your next long rest. But for the first class you're getting from, you get more of those points on a short rest. So by continuously drinking coffee so you don't have to sleep for 3 or 4 days, you can get like 19 or 20 spell slots.
I see.
You just become a machine gun of spells.
Yes, you are
Yeah,
a
there's-
nuker of the just maximum degree once a week.
Yeah, we call these people the min-maxers.
We call these people assholes.
Or power gamers.
Yeah, power gamers. There's also people who like the role playing more, which is kind of me most of the time. The combat is not very fun for me. I much prefer I like the character creation the most, actually. Like, you make your character, you give them the backstory, and then you hope that like you can build a story around them. That's the most fun part for me. But like, there's definitely all types, which is why D&D is such a fun thing, is that you can bring a lot of characters together to make a bunch of characters.
Kevin, what type are you?
Oh God, I don't know, because I was kind of the forever DM.
Yeah, he was.
So
That is a type of character.
I don't really have a way of answering that, because like there definitely have been moments where I thought of a character and went, "Wow, this is kind of funny for these like specific scenarios." Like you play as a warlock, give them devil sight, and then I think by like I think it's like the 3rd or 5th level you can teach them darkness, and so now you have this 20-foot cube of death running at people, where they can see, or you can see them, but they can't see you. So like that's kind of fun, but then that also gets kind of boring once you've done it 2 or 3 times. So then you try to find like, I don't know, I like finding like weird niche things you can do in the game rather than like a jack of all trades. So like play as the barbarian with eagle sight, so you can see really far, and then give them like observant and keen mind, so then like they can read lips, and then also retain all information that they get for like 30 days. So then you can just effectively be Batman. You can like climb up to the tallest like tower, and then just be the sonar of information as you just are reading everyone's lips in the city, because you can see for a mile away, and then you just retain all information. Chances are someone's going to talk about something that'll give your character some kind of a clue. So like that's also kind of that's not really combat orientated. That's like a very fun like niche like gathering thing. So like
Yeah,
that's just
I
cheeky.
enjoy doing stuff like that, where you find fun little cheeky things to do with characters that like they're.
Well, I would totally troll you as the DM if you did that too, though. I'd be like, well, the first thing you find out is that Mary is sleeping with Todd, but Billy doesn't know about it because he thinks his wife is pure and she would never cheat on him.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
see,
I was immediately going
I would
there
reverse.
as well.
Yeah.
I see though. I would Uno reverse you, and I would say I need you now to give me like an entire city's population worth of knowledge.
I would keep going. I would
Hell.
tell you all of the town's dirty secrets. The rest of the party would hate you for what you had done to them.
You'd be playing boredom chicken. Who gets bored of the shit first?
And it wouldn't be me, I can tell you that much. I would just go onto Google and type in rumors about people.
Cheating, big cheats.
Wow, what is this man? He Googles instead of inventing his stories?
Oh, I would
What a
have to
bastard.
eventually. I can't invent stuff forever. Come on.
Yeah, you're the DM. It's your job to invent stuff forever. That's literally why we put up with you.
No, you put up with me because none of you guys want a DM. Don't even pretend that I was DM by choice.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
That's the thing about D&D that I do find difficult. Some people love DMing, but DMing is kind of difficult. Like it's far more fun to be a player, I think. There are some people I think out there who like to be a DM more than a player, but I don't think there's many.
Probably not. I think the biggest issue is DMing is fucking hard.
Yeah, it is. It's time consuming as well, and because especially if you're with a group where all of the people aren't super enthusiastic, because you
Oh.
kind of have to drag them along. I have had that before where people really wanted to play, but like some of the people were only there because their friends asked them to be there. And it's like they also don't really know what to do. So they're expecting you to do the entire narrative on their behalf. So it's like, okay, guys, you're here. What do you want to do? I don't know. What should we do? You tell me. You're the players. What would you like to do? Oh, would you like to look around? Yeah, sure, I'll look around.
I'm gonna go
Okay, you
stare
see
at the
this.
wall for the next 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's like I look around. You see a door. Okay. Would you like to open the door? I feel like I'm got to give them a prompt, like we're playing freaking what was that, Zork on the old PC, where they're like a text has to come up every time. You enter the area. Would you like to go straight, left, or right?
Yes, they are playing a text adventure.
Yeah.
With my experience, when I have players like that, I usually like to deal with all other players first that kind of have an idea as what they want to do. And then while I'm dealing with that in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, okay, the plot only goes forward if someone goes here. And so if no one goes there, that's where that player then goes.
Yeah.
That's fair. But that's like one of those things that makes DMing hard. You need to know that you're going to need to do things like this, which a lot of people, especially when they're first starting out, they're what do you guys want to do?
Well, plus, even if the people are comfortable, it can be really hard to aspect because it is kind of embarrassing at first. Like doing voices, doing the like conversations, it's very hard. Like even sometimes, and I want to usually be the one pushing the narrative, I'll be like, this character says this instead of like saying it. If like my character asks, "Where are we going?" instead of saying, "Where art thou going, sir?" or something like that, because my character's a medieval knight all of a sudden.
Yeah, I would like to do more of that where you're speaking as your character, but that is very hard to do, and you've got to be very comfortable with everyone in your D&D group. Otherwise, it just feels so awkward. I had one D&D group that I was playing with.
I think that once you start doing it, it gets easier because no one in the group is going to like mock you for it, but it feels like they're going to. That's the problem because it's like usually you're playing with your friends, so it's like they're not. I mean, they'll probably mock you because my friends always mock me, but not necessarily for that reason.
Of all the reasons we're gonna mock you, that is the lowest on the bar for sure.
You guys have seen like live plays, right?
Live plays.
Like you've watched videos talking about other campaigns or listened to people playing D&D?
I have listened to 5 episodes of Critical Role.
Yeah, what about you, Kevin? I know you watch that guy on YouTube. I can't remember what he's called.
Oh, Z Bashu.
Oh, did we lose Kevin?
No, I'm here. I was just waiting for the rest. So like live what?
So like, have you ever watched or listened to other people play D&D? So like on YouTube or on podcasts?
Oh, the closest thing to that would have probably been like, I think it's the Puffin Forest. I think the YouTube name was. That's the close where I haven't listened to like the entirety of the campaign. It's usually like bits and parts, maybe the funny parts, maybe like a quick synopsis of like what happened throughout the campaign, but never like the entire, like, say the campaign went on for 40 hours. I never like sat down and listened to the 40-hour campaign.
But in like those ones that you saw, was there anything like, was there a great character from that you remember seeing? Because I've, as you know, I like podcasts, and I actually, because I like audio dramas, so I started listening to like live plays, and what that live play means is they're recording themselves as they play D&D. So it's not like they go back and edit it. It's they're playing D&D, they're recording it. But if you listen to ones that are well produced, it's like listening to a audio drama. So I've got there's some really cool characters out there. But I know you introduced me to Puffin Forest. Are there some great characters in there that you remember?
The actual characters themselves, like the player characters, not so much. Like there was kind of run of the mill, kind of what you would expect from, if you've played enough D&D, you've probably ran into this type of character, like the one that wants to randomly, for no reason, knock down the obelisk and then inadvertently cause an event of horror.
Yeah, I remember that one.
But I think the funniest things I have heard of would probably be the aboleth, That was rather entertaining. Or Little Wallace. That was also entertaining because
Fucking Little Wallace.
like Little Wallace is something that like if like it doesn't matter who or what group dealt with that. Most groups, like I'm talking 80 to 90% of groups, would have reacted the same way, which makes Wallace all the more entertaining to listen to. Not necessarily experience, but to listen to.
For the benefit of people who don't know who Little Wallace is, can you give us a breakdown?
Little Wallace. So just imagine you are forced to take an NPC with you that you did not want to bring, and when you get back, all or pretty much everything you do throughout that entire campaign, the NPC takes all the credit for. So then your party kind of gets blue balled for any recognition, any loot, any prizes, any of that stuff because this effectively it's like I guess if anyone here has watched Naruto, anyone watching has watched Naruto, it'd be like Naruto and Sasuke running around and they beat Zabuza and Sakura got all the credit. That's kind of what it's like.
So same thing.
That's kind of like what you would be dealing with. You just got this like completely inept, useless character here that you didn't want, and they're the ones getting all the credit because of shits and giggles.
So not only are they just getting all the credit, they also get you into more trouble over and over again by just fucking up things. Because they're basically plot driver embodied.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, I've listened to a lot of live plays. High Rollers D&D, excellent series. It's been going on for 6 years now. They're on like episode 200. I have listened to all of them. Really good so far. It's a complete homebrew. They have some great characters. My favorite one is they have an elf, a high elf. His name is Lucius Varian Elwin Elanasto because he's a noble. And the guy who plays him like completely commits to his character. And his character was like a spoiled rich boy who's also a sorcerer. And he's never left the sky cities in the world. And my favorite interaction was when he sees cows for the first time. He's like, there's these horrible beasts with spots and horns in that bush over there when he's on watch. And the rest of the characters are like, it's probably fine. That sounds like cows. And he's like, they look like demons from hell. So he blows them all up with the spell, and the other characters are just sleeping through it. And in the morning, he's like sitting there by the fire, and he's like super proud of himself. And they're like, so what happened? I did it. I defeated the monsters. And they're like, what do you mean? I killed the cows. They're like, you killed the cows. Do you not know what a cow is? He's like, horrible beasts with horns. I told you about them last night. And then they're like, you just murdered some poor farmer's livelihood. What are you going to... And then for like the rest of the campaign where they were in that area, he was like acting suspiciously guilty with every single NPC they talked to. It was fantastic. I loved that. It's great.
Nice.
I also listened to a horror-based one. That one was fun too. But that one was fun for different reasons.
Was it fun?
Well, I like horror series, so you know, that was pretty cool. There was another one I really liked that was actually one that was recordings of a comedy house in the UK where they played D&D in a theater with like professional comedians.
Oh
so
my.
that was really funny. But at the end of it, the characters were so OP that the DM actually had them fight him. And he used his god powers to rewrite history so that they never existed at the end because he was tired of it. Because they were staying in character, but he was like, I'm the DM. I made this universe. So like, what are you talking about, the DM? He's like, I've been doing this for 3 years. I can't kill your characters. It's impossible. Because the bard had like basically he power gamed to the point where the bard got these items and had this modifier on his deception check. He had like a plus 15 on his deception check. So no matter what he rolled, if the character wasn't like a boss, they would just believe whatever he said. So he's like, I'm going to tell them this and they're going to do this. And he's like, okay, roll a deception check. 35? Yeah, they believe you.
That's the struggle every DM has to face, is just the fact that like like no matter what you do, if someone rolls a crit, you are bound by the dice to not have to make shit up.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you guys charmed. It's like you guys have fought Strahd, and
Yeah.
you somehow find a way to charm Strahd. It's like, well, shit. What do I do? Right? Like,
Yeah.
I can't do anything now. And sometimes, you know, the chronic luck of a dumbass will outweigh the power of a DM.
Yeah, but because they're all comedians, it was very funny, even when he killed them with Deus Ex Machina powers. But yeah, I love I like D&D for that reason. It's because like D&D gives you the ability to create all these wonderful characters within their own rules, but then you can also go beyond their rules if you want with your friends. And I mean, it's also fun to listen to other people play. It's a great game in and of itself. I kind of wish it was cheaper, but you know, that's a different problem.
I mean, if you're just the player, for the most part, you can get by with just one book.
Well, yeah, the game is essentially technically the game is free to the extent of you could go online and find either homebrew campaigns or some of the like intro campaigns that have been out there and just play. But if you actually want to get like all of the different source books, you gotta be rich.
Yeah, because
Oh,
the
yeah.
books are expensive. They are not cheap. And in
No.
all honesty, they're worth more than realistically they're like actually valued at. I
Plus,
feel like
yeah.
$40 a book would probably be a more realistic price.
I mean, to be
Um,
fair, they are full color books with very nice illustrations. So, like, I understand how they justify their price point. Because if I was going to buy an art book of equivalent size that's a hardcover, it would probably be a similar price. But, you know, it still kind of feels bad when you spend that much on a book.
I guess, but like the difference between an art book and a D&D book is an art book you're buying one, whereas a D&D book they realistically want you to buy all their books, and so you'd
Yeah.
probably make more money and have higher sales if you just sold it for a little bit cheaper, a little bit more affordable. Because
Well,
I
what does
think
really
I think the
bother me.
books are like $60 to $70 per
Oh,
book.
oh yeah. What really does bother me though is because they've now got online resources like D&D Beyond, which I don't think is a terrible platform to play D&D. They charge you the same price for a PDF that they do for the hardcover book, which blows my mind because the PDF is a digital file that costs them nothing to produce because they had to make those images in order to print the original books. There was no extra cost involved. It already existed, and now they're selling copies of it for $80, which is pure profit.
No kidding.
So it literally makes no sense for it to be that price point. It should be much cheaper to buy the PDF. That does bug me a little bit because the PDF already exists for the purposes of printing the book. There's literally no excuse for selling it for $80.
Other
Well,
than
there's an
just they
excuse.
can.
It's money.
There's no legitimate excuse.
Fuck you, pay me.
Yeah, no reasonable excuse. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
There is an excuse. It's just, is it reasonable? No, probably not.
No, it's really not. It's
No.
obscene.
No, I would accept if they had the PDFs for half price. Like the book's 80, the PDF is 40. Still too much for a PDF, but at least then you're getting like a justifiable reason to go for a digital version. That is
Yep,
not
I
the
agree with you on
case.
that one.
Although something else that's really nice about D&D is that there's a lot of homebrew campaigns out there and there's some really talented people who write those campaigns.
Yeah, I'm weird when it comes to D&D campaign books because if I see one with the alt cover, something goes off in my brain. I'm like, I must buy this. Why? It's got the alternate cover for the book. It looks so nice, but you don't need this, but I want it. And then
Not
the
gonna lie,
impulse
I
buying
agree with you
happens.
on that. I agree with you on that. They do look so much better too.
It's just so pretty.
They're very pretty. That is the plus to some of the D&D books is they are really pretty. The alt covers are very nice. You couldn't see it, but I did the Pacha thing when I said that.
The Pacha.
Fair.
A Pacha. But what are we at now, buddy, for time? How have we done?
35. We got plenty of
35.
time.
Got plenty of time. All right,
Plenty of
Kevin,
time to riff.
I'm gonna need you to entertain the masses. My drink just got delivered. I'm gonna go grab it.
Okay, you
Why
go grab
in
the.
why in the world was he asking me, the guy that never talks?
Because
know,
you
right?
are the most experienced D&D domo in this dojo.
That is true, since I have never completed a campaign. Not once.
Really? You haven't completed one?
I have played one thing of D&D other than the ones with you guys, and every other one has fizzled out.
Oh, that's something. So what caused the those campaigns to not fall through? Or why do you think so many campaigns are never played to completion?
So one of them, and two of the group of 4 that I was in, started having some beef. And it ended their friendship. And so we kind of stopped playing D&D together.
Was the beef outside of D&D or was it caused inside of D&D?
It was outside of D&D, but it spilled into D&D, and so they had outside beef and inside beef, and it just got bad. That one died like that one. And then from the other ones, we've had people stop showing up, and it just kind of drifted away. We had one where we had a DM who, it was his first time DM, wasn't as good at it, had some issues, so that one just kind of fizzled out as people lost their opinion to it. And I still remember one of them that we started, but then my work went insane, so I simply couldn't go anymore, and I have no idea what happened to that campaign.
So I would just like to say that as I went out of my room to get my food, I don't know if you heard it, but my brother was waiting outside of my door and jump scared the shit out of me.
Oh, I didn't hear it. That makes me sad.
I screamed and then swore really loudly. It was not good. I think I might have died a little bit.
What would have made it even better is if the breaker was in Caleb's room and he just starts flickering the lights on and off.
The breaker is in Caleb's room.
Oh, he could phasmophobia the shit out of you.
He really should. I would love to help him do that. Oh, sadly, I can't visit this week. Or we could go through, set up speakers in your room so that way noises start playing. Hit the breakers to turn off the light.
If the easy button couldn't get me, there's no way that's gonna work.
Caleb just standing outside of your door did.
Okay, he jumped into my face from the shadows.
The shadows?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so to continue on with did you hear the initial question, Nathaniel?
No, I did not.
Why do you think so many D&D campaigns are never finished?
I would say because of the time commitment, and because you actually have to be involved. It takes a lot of time, and a lot of the time, this was before Zoom meetings and Discord. You would have to actually go somewhere as well. Like now, I think it's probably a little bit easier to continue with campaigns because a lot of people are getting used to the online socializing. But for the longest time, it was a lot of effort to go to someone's place for 3 or 4 hours and then come back. Like that's a lot of commitment for something that if you're not super into it, it's gonna be rough to do. You have to have a lot of people who are willing to spend the time.
Plus, that is a very fair point.
Clashing personalities as well, because you're gonna have a lot of people who play D&D are going to be imaginative, creative people, and a lot of times people of that bend have very strong opinions, and that's going to cause clashes at times, right? So like Will was saying, people get beef, and then they're not going to want to do stuff.
That is very fair. Man, I absolutely agree with the time commitment. In the old days, when I'd come and hang out with you guys and we would do D&D on Saturdays, it was it's an hour-long trip for me to get from my place down to the same city as you guys. And we pile into a car and then drive another 30 minutes off to where we'd go and play D&D. That's an hour and a half. And often our D&D games would be 2-3 hours technically, but we'd only play an hour of D&D in those 3 hours. So it is very time inefficient.
Well, and there's also the problem with one or two of the people who play with you
Yep.
not being as committed as everyone else. Or, like, let's say, not that this would ever happen, the person hosting isn't on time to let you in.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
remember many of those days.
Yeah,
Oh,
you don't know this guy.
no, I definitely
No,
don't know him
not you. I'm talking to
whatsoever.
Will here. We're not going to mention any names or anything, but we used to go to one of Kevin's friends' places out in Cloverdale,
Oh.
and there was times where I would drive all the way from Surrey to Cloverdale, which would take me about 40 minutes, and I would be about 5 to 10 minutes late, show up, everyone's standing outside of that guy's house because he's not there to let us in. We called him, and it's like, I'm just going to be at the corner store. I'll be back in 5 minutes. Another half an hour before he let us in.
So I'm not going to throw shade at anyone, but there may be someone else that we know who. There have been times where we would do D&D at their place, and we'd arrive, and hey, I'm still 30 minutes out. So I'm not throwing shade, no, not at anyone who could potentially be watching, but yeah, that's a thing that happens.
Mm-hmm.
I do have to say though, like as much as I do enjoy playing D&D over Discord, because at least you still get to play, and for the most part the experience is the same. Having everyone at the table and playing like at the table is kind of a different experience over Discord. And it is really nice because you get to physically roll the dice, and then the players get to keep other players.
Honest.
Well, yeah, they get to keep each other in check, right? Because I mean, we've all played with that one player that has to fudge their rolls no matter what. They always have to like have ridiculous rolls, or they're just almost afraid to fail, which is fine, right? I mean, like you're not gonna. That's not how life works. You're not gonna succeed at everything you do, and I think some of the funniest moments are when people flub a roll, right? Like, oh, I go to attack someone, and you go to like they roll a 1. It's like, okay, when you unsheath your sword, you end up cutting your belt and your pants fall down or something, right? Like,
Yeah.
stuff like that can be fun, and it can be interesting, and it also makes it creates suspense when you don't know if you're going to succeed or not, right? If you know you're going to succeed, then why the hell are you even playing? Why are we even rolling dice at that point? Just say I attack and I hit, and we've achieved the thing you're asking for. So I do like it when everyone gets to sit at the table. I mean, it's just it creates a bit more of a different experience, I'd say, rather than over Discord. But it's not like so polarizing that like Discord is not a good option. But I do agree that Discord is a fantastic way of eliminating the need of time for sure.
Well, not just that, but in person is always better because humans are social creatures. We like to socialize, right? You get to see your friends, you get to hang out. It's an
Body
excuse to
language,
buy
yeah.
It's an
This is
excuse
why
to
we need
buy
VR. We need everyone to have a
Well,
VR headset, and we can play some tabletop simulator and play D&D in VR. We can flip the table at each other, slap each other, and have a great time. And I won't ever stop fighting for this.
Another thing I missed was when everyone would just bring like snack foods, and it'd be almost like a potluck while you're playing D&D. It's like a freaking tailgate party at the baseball diamond. Like there's just something nice about that.
That is very fair. That was always a fun thing. It's like, what did you get? I brought cheesy puffs. What do you got? I got ketchup chips.
Yeah.
Trade for a handful.
I kind of miss when like we halfway through. I mean, this was before Will, but like halfway through the session, we'd all go down to Elizabeth's.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Fantastic, expensive, but fantastic.
Remember when we went down
to
that pizza place that was an Indian place and it gave me horrible diarrhea? That was fun.
Nate, what place doesn't?
No. I'm not talking about my normal, oh, my stomach is upset. I'm talking we went to a curry place that served pizza and curry. I got the butter chicken. I ate the butter chicken. 10 minutes later, I was like, guys, I gotta go. I'll be back. I was not back for like 2 hours.
Damn.
I don't think that place is in business anymore. Just letting you know. But I do remember that night. You were not happy.
No, neither was the host's parents.
Oh,
That's fine. This was before the Rona. We weren't on a toilet paper shortage back then.
A good thing too.
Oh, yep. Oh my goodness.
Well, the city wasn't, but the household was by the end of that.
They're just like,
Yeah,
is he
no.
eating the toilet paper?
Now,
God, I
now,
like
now,
when
now.
I came out, it's like, is he gone?
That's just gross. Let's tweak this a bit.
I love how the guy who usually says the most disgusting things is grossed out by Indian food giving someone diarrhea. That's like the staple of all starting out comedians.
Here's the thing. I'm not actually grossed out by it. I'm okay with it. But I know that people are going to be tuning out in mass at all of this discussion.
In mass. You
mass.
expect more than 3 people to watch this video.
Look, I've looked at the
All 3
analytics of
tuned
our
out at
first
the same
podcast.
moment. That's a mass. It's a small
I
mass,
have
but
looked-
it's a mass.
I have looked at the analytics of our first podcast. They stopped listening after 6 minutes. We're fine.
Oh, okay, great. Woo! No one's listening to this, so fuck all your viewers.
I was just waiting for you to like fart really loudly into the mic right there. No one's
Oh.
listening.
If forcing a fart wouldn't risk my pants, I probably would have tried.
See, they're missing all the gold. This is the part that people should be listening to.
No, it's definitely not. We just went from D&D to flatulence real fast.
I mean, they're
No,
the
we
same
went
thing,
D&D to diarrhea to flatulence.
really. Dungeons and diarrhea. Oh,
Dungeons and
boy.
Dookies.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh. That should
Oh,
be the name of our
excuse
podcast.
No, it's not.
That way, every time I introduce you as DD, we'll know what I'm referencing.
Oh, you're the worst.
Get out of my laboratory. Oh, I can't say it. Fuck.
Laboratory.
Laboratory. Oh, it's such a weird way of saying it.
du fromage.
Oh,
That's the episode I remember.
Omelette du fromage is a great one. I just miss watching that show in general. No, back to D&D.
Dexter's
Get on track.
Laboratory.
Bet.
You act like it's weird for us to go off topic.
Have you actually, Nate? Have you ever watched probably like a cartoon, and they do a parody of Dungeons and Dragons?
Oh yeah. There's a fantastic meme related to that in a show called Gravity Falls, where they play their version of D&D, and the one guy who hates like anything nerdy is looking at the stat block, and he says only nerds would count charisma as a magical power, and that made me laugh really hard.
Ooh.
I've never thought of it like that.
Not lying.
That one cuts real deep.
It's so true. Oh, I was not prepared for that. Oh, that's glorious.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Let me see if I can find the
Oh.
meme. You seen any parodies of D&D then
Have I?
Yeah. in a show?
Um,
Honestly, I don't think there's a single show that hasn't done it, but
yeah, I'm pretty sure I have seen other shows do parodies of it, but I think I can't remember exact, but I think Recess also did an episode where TJ wasn't allowed to go outside because he broke his arm or some shit.
oh
And
yeah, that sounds
He
right.
hung out with like, I think they called them the pasty kids.
Didn't he hang out with Randall?
I think he hung out with Randall for one episode, but I don't think that was the same episode where he hung out with the pasty kids.
Yeah,
And then I'm pretty sure they were just playing a variation of Dungeons and Dragons. And I found it funny because I feel like how TJ got into D&D is how a lot of other people got into D&D, where they go like, oh, whatever, I'm not going to like this too much. And then 2 weeks later, they got all their like D&D, memorabilia and stuff.
yeah.
They're like surprisingly like really into it. I feel like that's how a lot of people end up getting into D&D, where they're like, nah, I'll give it a shot, and then they're just absorbed.
I mean, I literally went because I was bored, and I was like, yeah, all right, I'll go play some games with the guys. I don't have anything else to do, and I was not expecting to have fun, and it ended up being pretty fun.
Yeah, I think the recipe for like a good D&D campaign is like one, having all the players be like invested in like actively like trying to do stuff, and then also having a flexible DM that is willing to put up with the players' bullshit and kind of allow them to do stuff that they want to do. Because when a DM just says no to everything, that's when players start getting not really invested anymore.
That is true. You have to be able to balance too. I think another reason why being a DM is hard is you can't let them get away with everything, but let them get away with the stuff that's still so that they're still having fun.
Yes, there's few things worse than a railroading DM, as it doesn't feel like you're playing anymore. But if they don't railroad you a little bit, there's no way the DM's going to be prepared. So now you get to sit for the next 20 minutes while they flip through the book 17 more times.
Yeah, that's the thing I think a lot of people don't understand is you can prepare the entire campaign. You can have everything down, and it doesn't matter because if all the players suddenly become interested in the random merchant that sells cabbages, well, shit, I guess they're not going to go see the prince now and go find out what's plaguing the kingdom. I'm going to have to get the merchant to send them on the same quest that the prince was going to give them, and then change half the campaign because the prince don't matter. It's all about this cabbage seller, that the cabbage seller is now some interdimensional demigod that was sent there went there in disguise, because if they were there in the normal form, it would have caused a war with this and that, and it just becomes this nightmare because the players were like, "Oh, cabbages!"
Yeah, dude, I think what would be hilarious too is I'm picturing it in my head right now. They're like standing next to this NPC who has no facial expression, is holding a cabbage, and it's obviously like in one of those video games where the NPC doesn't even do anything. He's the same texture as the background because he doesn't move, and he's not meant to move. They're standing there talking to him, and in the background there's this fully fleshed out character that has the words "plot significant" above his head, and they're just not looking at it at all.
They're just the plot heavy characters jumping up and down, waving their arms, going, "Hey, it's me you're looking for," and the players just don't give a damn.
Yeah.
So there's a very funny story of this in Puffin Forest where he talks about how he's DMing for a group, and they end up going to an alternate dimension and picking up this otter who's a person, but it's an otter who can talk and think and whatnot, right? And it was supposed to be this super simple character that would say a line and then leave and never to return. The party adopted / kidnapped it, brought it back to the real world, brought it into all of the party things, kept them through all of their fights. And so he's like, well, now I need to have someone betraying this whole thing. All right, their otter now is the big bad. He's been playing this entire time, and he's the reason they brought him along.
What I think is funny is how often D&D groups also adopt random NPCs.
It's fun to adopt NPCs.
That is a thing that seems to happen all the time, and no matter what I'm listening to, no matter who's playing, if they find an NPC they like, they adopt him.
NPC or items, because I mean we had the Wig of the Fabio enter almost every campaign after it was initially brought in.
I hated that item.
I just remember you guys were like, "Oh, there's no magic items. We want magic items. Come on, give us some. Like, this is ridiculous." I'm like, "Okay, fine." And then the first magic item I give you guys, you're too afraid to even touch it.
That's amazing.
Or my personal favorite. Oh, so what do you guys? What do we see in this room? Well, you see a bunch of corpses, and you see a chest with 1,000 feet. Oh my God! How are we gonna reach that? What? It's like 1,000 feet away. We got like 3 things of rope. That's like 90 feet. It's 1,000 feet. How are we? What are you talking about? It just has 1,000 feet underneath it. Yeah, it's like 1,000 feet away. Okay. Attached to the chest, there's 1,000 feet underneath it. Wait, what? It's not 1,000 feet away from you. It has literally 1,000 feet.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
That misunderstanding was legendary.
Killed me. I was in tears.
One of my favorite jokes of all time was when we were playing with my brother's friends again. They were trying to get across a pit trap to the other side to like grab an artifact. And they're like, "How do we get across?" "I don't know." "Do we have a grappling hook?" "No." "What do we got? A rope?" Oh, excuse me. "How am I going to get across there with the rope?" "Well, one of our characters is a gnome." "Yeah. How does that help?" "The other side of the pit's only a gnome's throw away." And I almost died laughing. They tied the rope to the gnome character. He's like, "No, I resist." It's like, all right, contested strength check. They had the barbarian do it against the cleric. He did not resist the strength check.
Oh my, oh my.
Gnome's throw away.
That is pretty good. I love doing silly things like that. Or in a recent campaign of ours where my character was just resting in a hammock on your back all the damn time. Because why walk when you can ride in style?
Maybe if he hadn't been resting, he wouldn't have died so horribly.
No, if he hadn't been resting, he wouldn't have died so horribly. Or if you hadn't opened the door.
How was I to know that there was a nuclear bomb behind that door?
Look, you're a machine. You should have sensors.
I can't detect DM bullshit.
That wasn't
But-
DM bullshit. That was campaign bullshit. It was right
Also-
there in the book. It said, "Lol, 100 flasks of alchemy fire."
Did it actually say lol?
No, but I do adore it though when you're looking at the D&D like a DM like campaign book, and there are some times where it'll just say like it'll be like note extremely unfair but hilarious for the DM.
I didn't find it hilarious.
Like there's one in the Tome of Annihilation where the players will get, if they take a wrong turn, they get teleported back to the beginning of the dungeon, but they have none of their gear, none of their clothing. They literally just go back naked. So if you're a fighter, well, you don't have your sword anymore. If you're a wizard, you don't have your focus anymore or your spell book anymore.
Yeah,
So it kind
I
of just
remember.
cripples. It kind of cripples like 3/4 of the party 9 times out of 10. The only people that are generally speaking unaffected by this are going to be like druids and monks.
I remember, because I jumped into that sphere of annihilation.
Oh no, that one just straight up killed you guys. Good times.
It's in the name, Annihilation.
We didn't know what it was. He's like, it's a glowing portal. And we're like, okay, don't know where else we can go. Through the portal.
That dungeon was made to be a bastard, and a bastard it is.
That one's made to be intentionally unfair.
Yeah, that's fun. I love games that are intentionally unfair.
Oh, you're not supposed to enjoy it. That's why it's unfair.
Oh boy.
What? What? You got beef with me?
Yep.
Oh, we're gonna end D&D over this.
If that's all it took, it would have ended a long time ago.
It would have ended a long time ago in bloodshed. Ooh.
Bloodshed. You underestimate me.
Do I?
Hmm.
Or do I?
What would be
estimate
worse
you?
than bloodshed?
Don't worry about it.
Can't use my own line against me.
Don't worry about it.
That is a
See,
power you're not meant to
feels
have.
pretty good when you say it, don't it?
Maybe.
Yeah, don't. So I don't want to hear you give me flack for it anymore.
I will give you all the flack.
With that being said, what are we at for our time limit?
With that being said, we are coming to an end.
An end? Which end?
My rear end.
That's
No
an
one
end.
wants to come to that.
And yet here we are because of your choice.
I don't want to look at it. It's just this gaping maw.
Okay, can we stop, please? I know I continued the joke, but there is limits.
Look,
Limits,
look.
people.
I think
At
I
least you
hear it
won't hear
talking.
anything. All you'll hear is a whistle.
All right, and with that, we're done. Goodbye, everybody.